Welcome, everybody, to the NFL Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I'm your host for the NFL Show, Mike Goodpaster, and my co-host is the degenerate wearing the Pittsburgh Steelers jersey. Probably welcome to the show, our NFL beat writer, Sam Teets. How you doing, Sam?
I'm doing great, Mike.
Really? But you got a Steelers jersey on now. Is that because you're in quarantine and that's what you're going to use for toilet paper when you run out?
Oh, come on, Mike. I would have used Bengals jerseys, but I don't have them.
You got a terrible towel to use first, right?
I've got a couple.
There you go. So there's your toilet paper. All right. And normally we would have our other co-host, Anthony Cervino, on. And we're going to try a little technology here, which I always have problems with. And we're going to show you what Anthony's doing right now and why he is not on the show. Because Anthony is he says, amateur bodybuilder. Do you know what an amateur bodybuilder is, Sam?
Someone who works out once or twice a week and says they're a bodybuilder?
I don't know, Sam. But can you see this right now?
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Can you see it? That's Anthony on his Bowflex right now. It looks like he's taking a dump, too, doesn't it? Look at that. Look at the look on his face. Like he's going to kick somebody's ass. You see that?
He's so proud in that moment.
Yeah, let's blow it up. We're going to watch it again because this is really, this is good stuff. You don't get this on the NFL Network or ESPN. Chris Mortensen, you never get to see use a Bowflex and then stare everybody down after he uses it.
No, this is real premium content right here.
Yeah, but then again, they would probably know where to find the play button to play it again.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. Hold on. Oh, man. I done screwed this up.
It could just be loading slow.
It could be because I got a Chromebook that's like, here we go. Are we ready now? Now, there are 280 views on this. Do you think those are mainly men or women?
How many followers does he even have? He's got 9,000 followers. Huh.
Yeah, you got like 12, so you can't really.
Yeah, I know. Can't talk. I guess you can't talk about that.
Yeah. All right. I guess the video is not going to play now, so Anthony got lucky there. But all right, we're going to talk a little NFL news now, and I think the big news. Were you surprised about the Kyle Allen trade?
No, not really. Ron Rivera has a little history with Kyle Allen. He was there briefly with him in Carolina. And I think we both talked about this. We agree Dwayne Haskins is probably going to lose his starting job or should lose his starting job within next year. So I'm not surprised at all. I think it's a smart move for them to bring in someone that Rivera has a history with and someone who can steal a job from Dwayne Haskins.
Do you think he can steal the job right away?
Oh, right away. I think from day one he could potentially be a better quarterback than Dwayne Haskins.
But do you think he's going to get a chance day one? Or do you think this is going to be something where, Dwayne Haskins is going to start the season no matter what, just because of the amount of money they paid him? And then about week 5 or 6, when everything's falling apart the way it probably will, you see Kyle Allen.
That's what I think is going to happen. I think it's the organization is still a little too attached to the idea of having Dwayne Haskins as their quarterback. So I think he's going to be the guy they're going to roll with for the first couple of weeks. And when it inevitably all falls apart and they're 0-5 or 0-4, they'll eventually shift to Kyle Allen and realize Dwayne Haskins is the guy that probably should trade away in the next year or so.
Well, I would almost think that I would start Dwayne Haskins, even though I think Kyle Allen's better right now, because I think Kyle Allen is what Kyle Allen is. With Dwayne Haskins, I think there's more unknown. So I think you kind of got to put him in and find out exactly what he's got, especially since you've got that much money in him. But I think it's safe to say that Kyle Allen is just a guy. Dwayne Haskins may not even be just a guy, but you got to find that out.
Yeah, I think from what I've seen so far, I think Dwayne Haskins is actually worse than Mitchell Trubisky, which is saying a lot. That's not a good thing. But I do think that you're right. He has only played in 7 or 9 games, so you can't really say for sure what he is yet. I don't think he'll develop much into anything, but at the same point, if you invested a first-round pick in the guy, I guess you do have to give him at least a season's worth of games before you determine whether he's worth it or not.
All right, now that brings us to the Philadelphia Eagles, who are my second favorite team now, just because of Anthony, who's a Dallas Cowboy fan. And, Tim Jernigan. What do you think about this move? The Eagles let him go to Houston Texans, pick him up. Is this a big deal for either team? I would say it's a big deal for Houston because they've already lost a defensive tackle and DJ Reader to the Bengals.
Yeah, I think this is a really good move for Houston because this is a bargain player who's not going to get as much money as he would have back in his prime because he's had injuries the last couple of years. He's only played in a combined 13 games in the last 2 seasons, but he's still an effective guy, still an effective space eater. So you put him in there, plug him in the middle to replace DJ Reader. And if you're Philly, you don't really need this because you've already gone out and you've already added someone who can do just that when he went out and stole someone from Pittsburgh. So you've got a guy who you can pair with Fletcher Cox in the middle and Javon Hargrave. So you don't need Timmy Jerrigan, and I think it's probably a good move for the Houston Texans.
All right, now what about Jadeveon Clowney? Where do you think he goes? Because I think the coronavirus has really kind of squashed that because the Titans have been in contact with him, but the inability to evaluate his health is why I think he hasn't been signed yet.
Yeah, the teams that I've heard routinely in contact with Clowney were the Tennessee Titans, the Seattle Seahawks, and the New York Jets were thrown in there on occasion, but those are the 3 teams right now. And I think the biggest issue for him, like you said, has been they can't evaluate him because he's missed time. I don't know if he's ever played in a full 16-game season. So this is a guy who you would presumably invest a lot of money in, but you don't know if he's going to be healthy. So you want to know, especially with the season expanding to 17 games, you need to know what kind of conditions he's in and how healthy he is. He's also asking for a lot of money.
Yeah, and the thing is, Seattle did release a couple players that freed up $5 million in cap space. Do you think that is any indication that maybe they're wanting to make a run at him?
I think Seattle absolutely wants to bring him back. They didn't trade for him last year just to lose him immediately. They want to keep him around. Even though he didn't produce a lot with them last year, I think they expect that he'll be healthier this year and be able to put out more sacks and more quarterback hits. So I do think they want him back. But even if they can't get him back, they could go after someone like Everson Griffin from Minnesota.
All right, so let's kind of move on from that. And Philip Dorsett. I think this guy is really interesting. Can't wait to play with Russell Wilson, still on the Seahawks. I think Philip Dorsett here, I mean, they had a lot more skill position players for him to play with last year. I think Philip Dorsett just gives him another weapon.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about the guys they have right now. They got DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. That's a great 1-2 punch. And now you add Philip Dorsett. That's a guy with a lot of speed out there. Similar to what Lockett has, although he's more of a vertical player, in my opinion. Lockett's developed better as an underneath guy. But I love that ability they have given Russell Wilson now with Dorsett. And you look at their tight ends. I mean, their tight end depth is stacked. They got Greg Olsen. They got Will Disley, who's great as a run blocker as well, but can't stay healthy. Jacob Hollister, who did very well last year. So you've got 3 tight ends, and now you've got 2 quality receivers and Philip Dorsett in your depth chart. So you've got receiving options for Russell Wilson.
Yeah, and I think when we look at the NFC West now for next year, I think that means when you look at it, the LA Rams are, as Andy Griffith would say, they're fixing to be last place in this division.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they've had a terrible offseason, but they kind of had to because they locked themselves into these contracts with Aaron Donald, Jared Goff, and Todd Gurley. And so there wasn't really much for them to do. They also traded away all their draft picks. So now they're running into a situation where they have veteran players signed on short-term deals for money, and now there's only a down for them to go. They can't get any better at this point because they don't have the space and they don't have the draft picks. So this is probably going to be the worst team in that division.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt because I think what the Cardinals and Seahawks have done, I don't think that it is a foregone conclusion that the 49ers are going to win the NFC West next year.
Well, no, I don't think it would ever be as long as Russell Wilson's in that division because the Seattle Seahawks are a team that runs through him right now. And he's a guy who's just a phenomenal X factor, a future Hall of Fame quarterback. And as long as you have Russell Wilson, you can win any game. So I think Seattle's probably their main competition. Arizona, maybe not this year, but next year probably will be turning upward a little bit more. And also, I'm interested to see how the 49ers bounce back from the loss in the Super Bowl because they could have a bit of a drop-off. You know how that ends. You know how it is sometimes where teams make it to the Super Bowl and then come back next year and suddenly they're not winning big games.
Especially when you blow the game in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, especially when you blow a game the same way you did a couple years ago, like Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah. So, and we know what's happened with the Atlanta Falcons then. Now, we got a couple of older quarterbacks in Green Bay and New Orleans, and there's reports that the Saints, Packers, Chargers, Raiders, Dolphins, and Colts have been in contact with former Utah State quarterback Jordan Love. Ian Rappaport reported that. Do you see – let's just go with the Pack, Saints, Chargers. Really, all 6 of those. I don't think the Raiders need a quarterback. I think Derek Carr is fine. I don't know why people just keep waiting for him to get, replaced. But with those other teams, what do you think the chances are that those guys could go up or could draft a Jordan Love or even a Jake Fromm for Georgia?
Well, if we're looking at draft positioning, the team that's an ideal spot to take a quarterback would be the Chargers because they're at 6 overall, which means they could probably go for Herbert or Love and still get them at that position. But for the other teams, I'm not convinced where Love's going to go in this draft, I'll be honest. I've done several mocks, and I find it hard to believe that there's going to be – I find it hard to find a spot for him to fit in. So I think he could slide towards the middle to back end of the first round. So I could see Love going to almost any team in this draft that feels they need a veteran, that feels they need a rookie quarterback to eventually replace a veteran. But a guy like Jake Fromm, I like him potentially going to the Packers. I think that's a decent spot for him. I also like him to the Saints. I like Fromm in general because he's got the intangibles. So I think if you get him in the third round or late second round.
Tangibles?
What?
Does he have Dak tangibles?
Oh, he's not intangible Dak. Don't get me wrong. No one's intangible Dak.
I'm sorry, I got that wrong.
No one can be intangible Dak, Mike. It's a unique situation, but I do like Fromm. I think as you bring him in initially without having him start right away, and you can see what you have in him, I think it's a solid fit for a second or third round pick.
Yeah, the thing I like about Fromm is in Georgia's biggest games, he's always played well. He's made plays at the end of games, so he's what the old folks like me call a gamer. And I think whenever you got a guy like that, it doesn't hurt to have a bad backup at least. And I think he's at least that for the next 5 to 10 years in the NFL. And in the right situation, maybe more. My question is the Chargers. Do you think they really believe in Tyrod Taylor enough, or do you think maybe Justin Herbert's going to end up there?
The Browns didn't believe in Tyrod Taylor. I don't think the Bills ever fully got behind him either, which is why he's not still in Buffalo. So I find it hard to believe now that the Chargers are going to be 100% in on Tyrod Taylor. I think they're not going to be disappointed if they don't land someone like Herbert or Love. But at the same point, I do think they're planning to add someone else because it's not just going to be Justin Herbert and whoever else they have on the roster right now. I mean, Tyler Taylor and Easton Stick, those are their 2 quarterbacks right now. It's not going to be that come game day. They're going to have another quarterback in there. And I'm assuming it's going to be a quarterback they draft.
Well, see, my thing is this. I think Jordan Love is a big-time project. I think he's a guy that's either going to be a great hit or he's going to be a huge miss. And I think a team like the Colts, if they use their draft pick on that, I think they're really missing the boat. Because I think they're a team that can win that division this year, whether Jacoby Brissett, I am not convinced is not as good as Jordan Love. Because I think Jacoby Brissett is better than Jordan Love.
But you don't really know what Jordan Love is at the pro level yet. I mean, we know what Jacoby Brissett is. We know what he can do.
Yeah, but when I watch a guy like Jordan Love play in college and he throws the amount of interceptions he does, got in a little bit of trouble, with the law when he was like a freshman or so. He's a guy that would scare me to use that high of a pick on a team that I think is that close to being a team that can compete for a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's always the worry when you draft a quarterback that high is because it is always a gamble. The NFL draft is a gamble. And with Love, you're right. He has those instances, almost like I compare him with the decision-making to Josh Allen sometimes, where he makes the wrong decision. And it's just a scenario where I could see him coming in and throwing more interceptions than touchdowns in his first couple of years because he's just the guy who, right now, he has the arm strength and stuff. He's got some of the things that make you go, oh, wow, it could be a quarterback, an NFL quarterback. But he's also a guy who I really feel 50-50 on, which is why in my mock drafts I don't have going that high. I'm not that high of a Jordan Love guy.
Yeah, but even if you're not that high of a Jordan Love guy, how many times do we see a team reach for a quarterback? The Arizona Cardinals
every year.
Yeah, the Arizona Cardinals got caught with it. Josh Rosen had to draft another quarterback the next year. I think the Washington Redskins have been caught in that. There's a lot of teams to get caught in that. Let's look at the New England Patriots. They lost their center from last year, who went to a division rival in Miami, but it looks like now David Andrews, who missed the entire 2019 season due to blood clots in his lungs, will be able to play center this year for the New England Patriots. So there's some good news for the Patriots.
Yeah, there's some good news, but David Andrews is not going to save this team this year. I don't think anyone is going to save the Patriots this coming year. I know we always say it can be competitive as long as Bill Belichick's there, and that's true. But, I mean, and realistically, with Buffalo doing what they've done last year, with what Miami has added to their team this year and what they're going to get in the draft, I don't see New England winning this year. I expect them to roll with Jarrett Stidham and come back next year and evaluate the quarterback position.
All right. Now, what do you think about Cam Newton and Andy Dalton?
About Cam Newton and Andy Dalton? Andy Dalton's a guy who I would like to see starting for a team next year. He should start for a team at some point. Of course, Cincinnati doesn't have to get rid of him. We talked about this in the past. They don't have to trade Andy Dalton. They can hold on to him pretty much as long as they want to until they feel his value is up to a high enough level where they can trade him and get the maximum return. Cam Newton, on the other hand, is very risky. Cam Newton, for a guy like, I expect Jameis Winston to get a job before Cam Newton will get a job. Because, again, with all the corona stuff, we don't know what Cam Newton is right now. I don't know if Cam Newton can be the Cam Newton of old. And if he can't be, then maybe I don't want to invest in him as a starting quarterback if he can't run around like he used to.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the Andy Dalton situation, the Bengals are basically backed into a corner. And, I mean, teams can just wait till they waive him or they keep him. But if they keep him through the season, it's going to cost them $17.7 million in cap space. And they could keep him, but it would be one of the most expensive backup quarterbacks in NFL history. They have to trade him. I think if I was the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'd throw a 6th or 7th round pick at the Bengals and see if they bite on it.
Yeah, I would totally do that. I might even throw a 5th rounder at them, to be honest. I think Jacksonville right now is one of the very few teams that I feel like has not solidified what they're doing at the quarterback position. Because right now it's just Gardner Minshew and Josh
Allen. They're doing as an organization yet.
Oh yeah, I don't know why Doug Marrone's still there. I'm going to be honest. After this past season, I think he should have been fired, really, because they're a team that's approaching rebuilding. They're going to have to trade Yannick Ngakoue. He's not going to suit up for them again. He's made it quite clear he wants nothing to do with that team or Doug Marrone. And once you let him go, you might as well trade Leonard Fournette and start all over again.
Yeah, and I think another guy here that's interesting is Trent Williams. And the reason I bring that name up is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if I was them, I would be doing anything I could to get Trent Williams right now to protect Tom Brady's blind side.
You know, I've never thought about that pairing, but that's really good. I mean, that would be the ultimate move for them right now because they do have a guy, Donovan Smith, who's got some experience. But let's be honest, Trent Williams is probably one of the better left tackles in the NFL, at least one of the most notable left tackles in the NFL. And the issue is you would have to get him in and see what he looks like after a year off from football. But assuming he is what he was in 2018, I mean, adding him, that automatically upgrades the offensive line big time. And now you've got Brady with protection and all those offensive weapons. I mean, that'd be perfect for Tampa Bay.
What do you think about David Njoku as a tight end?
Njoku?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he could be a backup on most teams. I don't think he's a guy who will be worth where they drafted him because the Cleveland Browns drafted Njoku in the first round, I believe, a couple years ago. 29th overall, that's a reach. I think he's a guy who's worth 500 to 550 receiving yards a year, and that's about it.
Well, how about this? Bill Belichick's not a guy who likes to pay a lot of money to guys. And you got Joe Thuney, who they franchise tagged. They had to pay him $14.8 million, but they've got to re-sign him next year if they want to keep him. If I'm the New England Patriots, I think I would seriously look at taking Joe Thuney and seeing if David Njoku would be available.
I mean, if I'm Cleveland, I'm jumping on that deal because I think Joe Thuney is an infinitely better player than David Njoku. And the only issue with that would be one of the Cleveland's best offensive linemen is actually at left guard right now. I can't say his last name. I'm going to mess this up. But Joel Bitonio, who's actually made the Pro Bowl in the past, I'm pretty sure. He's been a solid player for them. If you get Thuney, you would probably have to kick him over to right guard, which is where they actually need help. But if you can make that transition, I would go for it if I'm Cleveland because that really would clear up the offensive line, which has been their biggest issue over the last couple of years.
Yeah, but you got to also figure this. If Cleveland's willing to do that deal, it's probably not a good deal for them to do.
No. Any move Cleveland's willing to make, you should really second-guess it.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap it up, Sam?
I mean, not particularly. I was going to focus on Clowney a little bit more because the news came out that I inevitably expected would, that he's decreasing his asking price. He was originally asking for about $20 million or more. He's now back down to the $17 to $18 million range. But personally, I don't even think he's worth that much at this point. Because as I mentioned, he's not a guy who plays every game of the season. He constantly gets hurt. He might be the most athletic player on the field when he's actually playing, but that's not something you can consistently count on. And with the NFL expanding to 17 games per year eventually, I don't see Clowney appearing in every game. So you're basically paying for a guy who's going to miss 2 or 3 games a year, and he has inconsistent production at times. So if I'm looking at Jadeveon Clowney, I'm really only paying him 14 to 15 million a year. I'm not going to the 16, 17, 18 million a year.
No, because he's going to get desperate soon anyways, as it sounds like he already is.
I mean, yeah, if you look at the big names up on the board right now, it's Jadeveon Clowney's the number 1 free agent available at this point. I mean, you got to take the hint, man. I mean, if Seattle, who wants you back, they want Jadeveon Clowney back. But if they're not willing to pay what you're asking for, then you should really think about, wow, what's my actual market value? Because it's not what he is asking for at all. He's not going to get that kind of money. And teams are just going to wait for him to cave and inevitably drop that price tag down a little bit more.
All right, Sam, anything else?
No, I think that's about it. I think we covered most of the main stuff.
You know, I'm trying to get the Bowflex video to play again, and it just won't. It's terrible. Why won't it play? Because we got to get a close-up of his face and see him make that mean look. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. You actually watched us now. And we'll figure out how to share this during the show so we get more than one listener from now on too. So I'm really bad with technology. So I'm sure it's here somewhere, but I can't find it. But Sam, it was good talking to you as always. We will be back tomorrow at 1:00. Sam, you want to tell everybody where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at Sam_Teets33. I'm constantly posting new articles there, sports analysis, that kind of stuff. So feel free to go check that out.
Now, do you have the beer just so you can buy beer without being carded?
You know what? I've had the beer since like a sophomore year of high school, and the first time I walked in to buy something, I got carded right away. I was like, I don't understand it. Like, I was told if I had a beer, that'd be good.
Man, they lied. All right, guys, make sure you go to Anthony Cervino's Facebook page. Just type in Anthony Cervino and you go down to March 30th and watch his Bowflex video. But also make sure you check him out at the FF Faceoff, which you can also hear pretty much everywhere, including thegruelingtruth.com. But for now, for Sam Teets, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.